Channels that are normally dry, today they go down like this. It is the Ana River, as it passes through Art and Castellan.
Normally this river is empty.
To dream of 3 days of precipitation, and what worries most is the accumulation. In some areas, they have already collected 400 liters per square meter, all night without sleep. Let's see what the water does. The municipalities monitor ravines, waterways, and flood zones. It is forbidden to drive on about 20 regional roads.
We have cut off the accesses to the river, because there are quite a few places where people usually pass.
The areas affected by the October Dana are more vulnerable. The neighbors are worried, with fear. Let's hope it's not as much as they say.
We had a lot of calls and incidents yesterday, but because of the fear, there was no risk.
Salvador looks at his house in Chiva. It is next to the Barranco del Palo, and he has not been able to return yet.
The drains are clogged with mud, they don't drain. The house is going to flood again.
More than 500,000 children have been without classes since yesterday. Some municipalities, such as the one in Valencia, have already announced that there will be no tomorrow either. They received notification on the website saying that there would be no classes. Well, I've also made the medical appointments, and only emergencies, and any outdoor activity in 280 towns, also the Mascleta of Valencia, if we're going to take a little spin, and we're already in.
The fear is there.
And permanently guarded up to the Forata Dam, also the diving dam, although its situation is not alarming. He tells us, in the port of Sagunto, it has had too close. This is how the channels are in Sorbas and Olmer. Completely overflowed. The water has denied the fields and cut streets in some districts. The water can't pass either. It happened to my son with the car, because I live across the street.
There are a lot of dropped liters.
More than 100 have been accumulated from tonight. The city council asks to be careful.
A lot of caution, and not to try to cross them, because we don't know what may be in that channel, what may have dragged. We don't even know what may come from higher up.
And a similar situation they live in Murcia, in Bullas, with the traffic cut off by the flow of the river. In Alora, in Malaga, the mud has forced the water supply to be cut off, and the neighbors have concentrated to ask for solutions. We have been without water since Sunday.
2 drops of water carrying, the muddy river is coming, and there is no more water.
And in Telde, in the Canary Islands, today it was time to start fixing yesterday's damage. The water flooded some garages.
Furniture, souvenirs, photographs. We are already finishing cleaning the garage to be able to put the cars in. The thing is that there is still water left today.
And the mud flooded beach bars like this one.
The door was open, all the sludge got in here, all this was filled with dirt.
They hope to reopen soon, although they are still aware of the rain that may fall in Spain and warnings for rains in 8 communities. Rajoy denies the major.
I have no knowledge of the existence of a so-called Operation Catalonia, none.
And he assures that he did not order Podemos to be spied on, which causes the first encounter with his spokesman, without you knowing anything. Just don't take us for fools, Mr. Rajoy, really.
If I think they're stupid, I'm not going to answer that question, because it's not about creating a bad atmosphere here either.
To all the questions about his responsibility, about whether he was aware of the so-called Operation Catalonia, he has answered the same.
I don't know everything about the subject you just mentioned. They have the wrong interlocutor. I don't paint anything here.
The former president says that the only Operation Catalonia that he knows and that he was worried about was to stop the independence coup.
You say so. But what movie are you telling me about? And from a deputy who was calling Judas Iscariot, Mr. President. What had to be done? The only Judas Iscariot in Spanish politics is called Birsinas. His name is Birsinas. It is quite likely that you will end up in jail for a while.
Almost 3.5 hours of appearance, in which other issues have come up.
During the 7 years that you were president of the government, we learned practically nothing about what your ministers or your state secret were doing. Man, I guess I would have had the same involvement that the president of the government had, who also does not find out anything with the activities of Mr. Bolos or the man who were qualified members.
For Rajoy and the Popular Party, this is the Commission of the 7 votes. The former Minister of the Interior, Jorge Fernández Diaz, also appeared on this day. June continues to celebrate the agreement, and they are already advancing that if they manage to govern, they want Catalan to be a requirement for immigrants. We are in Catalonia. In Catalonia, there is an official language that is Catalan, and there is no full integration if you do not know the language of the territory where you want to live. And although he acknowledges that the agreement is on the right track, it is true that a lot of progress has been made in this folder. In June, they remember that there are still other pending folders before the budgets, that Catalan is spoken in the European Parliament, and what they call political amnesty, which could be a meeting between Sánchez and Puigdemont. The government continues to defend the legality of the agreement. It is born in the Constitution and is going to be applied with the Constitution in hand. Words that Fayot has reacted to.
Neither the government believes this.
PP and Vox agree that it is a transfer that breaks Spain.
To give independentism what it has always sought, the control of its fictitious borders, is to continue dismantling the state. A president of the government who humiliates the nation once again and is going to sell our sovereignty to Waterloo.
We can say that they voted against it. We racist policies cannot be negotiated. It is a red line for Podemos, and Esquerra also fears that he would make junts if he ever governs.
I do worry about how the new powers or the new delegations will be used.
To sum up, although the agreement has been with those of Puigdemont, it is good for Catalonia.
The elements in which we know today, we believe that the agreement is positive.
And they insist that there is something that can be improved during the parliamentary process, and the Supreme Court extends the investigation against the Attorney General for revealing secrets for another 6 months. Judge Hurtado again accuses Garca Ortiz of having destroyed evidence by deleting the data that his mobile phones had. The magistrate is waiting for the information he requested from WhatsApp and Google to try to recover the information he deleted on the channel. There could be another change, of course, in Donald Trump's tariff policies. His Secretary of Commerce, Ward Ludnick, assures that on the table there is a possible relief in the 25% tariffs imposed on Mexico and Canada. We are reviewing it together, and the president is thinking about it. We'll see what we do tomorrow, Ludnick said. He assures that Canada has made them a great offer, although he has not wanted to clarify the measures that could be reconsidered. Even so, it seems that in the White House they are aware that a tariff war does not benefit anyone. The stock market, the thermometer of the American economy, has fallen below the level it was at when the Republican won the election.
Reflect on what happened these days.
Sheinbaum calls for common sense ahead of his Sunday announcement. The Mexican president reiterates that there will not be her mission and that Donald Trump must respect Mexicans. Discussions are planned with other affected countries.
We were going to look for Canada and other countries.
Import taxes have affected both the Mexican and the American economies. Its tariffs are at the highest level since the end of World War II.
The United States has stopped supplying intelligence information to Ukraine. Without that help, Kiev may have trouble identifying Russian targets. The decision comes after the suspension of the shipment of weapons announced by Trump. Meanwhile, Russia is not stopping its attacks in Ukraine. In Odessa, Russian drones have hit energy infrastructure and killed a 77-year-old woman. According to the governor of the region, Moscow has never officially declared that it wants to take Odessa, but it is consolidating its conquests in Ukraine. And today Putin said that he has almost completed the process of issuing Russian passports in the Donbass, Zaporizhia and Kherson. The Kremlin sees Zelensky's willingness to negotiate as positive, but continues to question him as an interlocutor in an eventual peace dialogue. Those negotiations could return to Belarus. President Lukashenko offers firm Minsk. Calmly, without noise, without shouting, I am waiting for Trump, Putin and Zelensky here, the Belarusian leader says. He does not mention Europe, excluded by Trump, and that tomorrow he is holding an extraordinary summit to coordinate a common response to the estrangement from Washington and a possible increase in military spending. Germany is going to do it by removing a taboo. Berlin will be able to go into debt to buy more weapons. We will do whatever it takes, the conservative leader and likely future Chancellor Merz has said, paraphrasing Draghi. In the midst of the euro crisis, in the other engine of Europe, in France, today Macron will give an address to the nation. With 290 nuclear warheads, France is the only power with an atomic weapons capability in the European Union.
And these are Ukrainian recruits, whom the king has visited at the Toledo Infantry Academy, where they receive combat training. They are part of a European training program. Spain has trained more than 7,000 Ukrainian soldiers in the last 2 years.